dollars in property over the years. We're happy to consult with you on your auction plans. Let our selling experience work for you. Call McPherson Auction 605-348-1369. Visit us on our web at mcphersonauction.com.
With 2 locations in Rapid City, Pizza Ranch is ready to serve your family. Every Wednesday is Kids Day. This is the best deal out there with the best buffet in town. One child 12 and under eats free for every regular priced adult at the Pizza Ranch Buffet Wednesdays. And don't forget their senior special every Tuesday for $8.99. The Pizza Ranch Buffet. It's all good at the Pizza Ranch with 2 locations in Rapid City. And remember, daily online specials for carryout or delivery at pizzaranch.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. The education assistance I received made it possible for me to be the first person in my family to go to school and graduate debt-free. That education helped get me to the first day at my dream job, a job that I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job, plus the other benefits possible from the Army National Guard, helped me become a first-time homeowner. Also, part of my role as a National Guard soldier means I know that I can be one of the first to respond and help my community if disaster ever strikes. I'm extremely proud that I get to serve my community, and that first step I took by joining the Army National Guard has made all the difference in my life. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com to find out what firsts are available to you in the Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the South Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the South Dakota Broadcasters Association and this station.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City. This is the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
And here's what you need to know.
The NFL Draft will start later this week, and ESPN reports that the Patriots have dealt their 5th-round pick to the Texans for their 6th and 7th-round picks, while the San Francisco 49ers have picked up star defensive end Nick Bosa's 5th-year option today. And 49ers GM John Lynch told reporters today this about Deebo Samuel.
I can't ever imagine wanting to move on from Deebo. Even though we don't have a first-round pick, you have to be thorough in this process and prepare for everything, and so you go through and do that. He's just too good of a player. He's a great teammate and nothing but appreciation for what he's bought, but you just don't let guys like that walk.
And we have 3 NBA games tonight to continue the playoffs. The Celtics will take on the Nets in Brooklyn for Game 4, trying to sweep the Nets without Ben Simmons. And this is what head coach Steve Nash had to say.
I wasn't really expecting him to play. Like we've said all along, he's trying to improve. He's working through it. He's still building himself up, still working through things, still trying to get strong enough and put himself in a position.
It's time for the only live and local sports talk show in the Black Hills. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, live interviews, and local sports. Exclusively on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City. And streaming online right now at foxsportsrapidcity.com. From the biggest national names to the hottest local stories, welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate.
All right, good Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is back. Ready to go. Draft week, huh? We got a lot of things popping. It's always a great day in the Black Hills, and it finally feels good. Hope you endured the weekend wherever you may be. Some snow, some wind, and the whole deal. And now we're back, 50s on a Monday, and the Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Rapid City, ready to go. And great lineup to get us started. We will talk some NFL drafts, some Major League Baseball. Let's go college on a couple of guests. I think this is going to be a good Monday show. The Nate Brown Show brought to you in part by the Rehab Doctors, the non-operative experts in the Black Hills. You have a choice for your medical care, and there's no referrals necessary. The Rehab Doctors, ready to treat all non-surgical musculoskeletal injuries. The Rehab Doctors, the official sports medicine physicians of the Rapid City Rush. Take your first step to feeling better for pain relief without surgery. TheRehabDoctors.com. Getting us started on a Monday, we're going to go to Chris Hummer, national college football writer, 24/7 Sports. He has an interesting observation out. This is the week, this is the last week that you can get into the transfer portal if you're a college football player, basketball player. So there's going to be a lot of busy, I think, student athletes, transactions, whatever you want to call it. The portal is going to be busy this week. It already is, but this is the last week that you can get in and be eligible right away for the next season. So we'll talk to Chris Hummer, covers the portal and college football, 24/7 sports on the way. NFL draft analyst to get draft week started. We're going to hit a lot of the big topics, a lot of the big players. Chad Forbes, NFL draft analyst, live from New York. NFL draft is in Vegas this week. Should be really interesting. Now, my Denver Broncos are not selecting, I don't think, in the first round. It sure doesn't appear to be that way. Gave up a lot of stuff, right, to get our guy, Russell Wilson. So it's interesting what route will the Broncos go later in the rounds, and we'll get into a lot of stuff. Chad Forbes on the way. Major League Baseball analyst Ben Verlander is going to join us. It's interesting stuff going on in baseball right now. There's a lot of topics to cover. We'll do it with Ben Verlander, Fox Sports Major League Baseball analyst. We will get specific today. Vikings fans, you guys are picking the 12th pick, right? The 12th pick. Who are the Vikings going to go with? By the way, they looked at this over the last decade. How many picks have the Vikings made of offensive linemen and defensive backs? Offensive linemen, defensive backs. How many picks have the Vikings made? They were breaking this down. We'll talk to Matthew Collar, covering the Vikings draft, purpleinsider.com, and then out to Sioux Falls. Argus leader, sports writer Matt Zimmer, live from Sioux Falls and the Argus leader. So a packed Monday show. I've got a lot of energy. Let's get ready to go here on the Nate Brown Show. Welcome in, 720-1067. You can join us on the Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar Sports Line Live, 720-1067, your connection. And the Barron's Wilson text line open and ready. Direct text the show, answer our questions of the day. Not just one question of the day. We have questions of the day. We usually try and do that for you. 720-1067, thought-provoking sports talk. And you can join us on the Barron's Wilson text line. So, last week, maybe you missed some shows, right? You missed some shows. You're busy. You got a lot of things going. Last week, we did a segment here. I did a segment early on last week saying, you know, it kind of feels like some fans are a little edgier. Kind of feels like fans are a little edgier. And you know, some people said, no, this isn't, it's not edgier. This is the way it's been. This is the way it's been. And I said, it just feels like more fans are a little edgier. They're going a little bit far. They get a little wound up. I mean, I'm seeing all sorts of stuff at games as I follow some of these accounts that go to live games, and there's fights breaking out in the stands left and right. I mean, left and right. And then, you know, as soon as I said this last week, I teed it up for the weekend. The Yankees fans go berserk. The New York Yankees fans. Did you see this over the weekend with the Cleveland series? So the Yankees fans go berserk and they start throwing stuff onto the field, right? They start throwing stuff onto the field. This isn't the first time we've seen this. But again, it's just a coincidence, right? You know, it's like, well, I don't know. You know, it happens. I'm telling you, a Cleveland player climbed the outfield wall. He climbed the outfield wall. You can watch the video for yourself. He climbed the outfield wall, got right into the face of one of the fans. I mean, we almost had another brawl like in the Palace in Detroit. Yeah, we were close. It could have been close. And so I'm sitting here saying, what can be done to rein in some of this behavior? Heckling's one thing, but now we're throwing stuff and again, there's been stuff that's been thrown out of the field. What can we do to these fans? I think they got to be gone. And I almost feel like the leagues have to step in here and say, we just can't accept some of this over-the-top behavior. We can't accept it because guys get tanked up and then they get crazy and then bad things can happen. And the Cleveland outfielder was right there on the edge of jumping into the stands. Of course, did not. Want to be careful with those bleacher fans out there in New York. Careful, right? But I say, I do think it's getting edgier as we go. I do think that. Thanks for calling. You're live, and you go ahead. Hey, you served it up.
New York.
You served it up. It only took 3 days, and we had an incident.
How about this, Nate? Why don't the players start acting like human beings and athletes, and maybe the fans will?
Well, I didn't see the Cleveland player do much. I mean, he's getting stuff thrown at him.
No professional athlete ever has instigated anything.
Well, they do, but I didn't see it there. I mean,
LeBron James, honestly, if he came to the Midwest, do you honestly believe people would be polite and say, hey, LeBron, you're the hero, man?
Well, maybe some people don't like LeBron around here. I'm sure LeBron has his fans.
Yeah, I don't believe in throwing anything.
Okay.
As far as yelling,
thank you.
As far as yelling at a pro game, hey, that's like what's his name was complaining, Ray Lewis, when everybody had murderer in Pittsburgh. They had all them signs, murderer. Johnny Rogers in college goes to Oklahoma University. Every gas station in every small town, they knew when the bus was coming through. They turned off the lights, put a big sign out that says, we're closed. Johnny Rogers is in town and we don't want to lose our money, because he robbed a store there a year before that.
By the way, what should we do with fans throwing stuff? I mean, it took 3 days after my segment, and then we got Yankees fans throwing stuff at players.
Well,
what can we do? We can't have it.
The same thing we should have done with the athletes that started misbehaving, getting rid of them.
Well,
we should start getting rid of the fans too.
I'll tell you, Ron Artest went into the stands. He went into the stands. That was overboard. And I'll tell you,
he should have got his butt whooped.
It looked like it was going to happen again.
If he would have done that in South Omaha, he would have got trashed. But let me tell you, Nate, it's wrong. It's wrong to go in the stands. It's wrong for people to throw things.
Yes.
But as far as telling a pro athlete, why don't you try hustling? You could have caught that ball. What kind of weak throw was that?
Yeah, that's different. I know what you're saying. That's different, but it just
Can
leads
I throw
to
something else?
Okay, go ahead.
You're at a Legion game.
Did I lose
Kid takes a called third strike. And a guy like me yells, swing the bat. Is that wrong or right?
Well, I'm careful with it. I'm careful with it at a high school
game. Can I tell you
game.
about the guy that was standing behind me when I said that real loud? His name's Wayne. Maybe you've seen him. I know you watch his teams play football. He goes, Ringo, yell it louder next time. I'm tired of my son taking third strikes. His son started an argument with the baseball umpire. I told him to shut up, act like a 22 player, and
we got to be careful.
You know what his dad said? Yell it louder, Ringo.
Okay, well, that's one thing. We got to be careful. That's what I'm saying. We got to be a little careful.
If you throw a bat and you're in high school, you throw a bat from home plate to the dugout, you don't think anybody's going to say anything.
Now we're getting in all sorts of stuff, but all right,
see what I'm saying? We got there's a big circle there.
Thanks for getting in,
buddy. And
I
yelled at the kid for throwing the bat, too, because 30 years of watching Post 22, until Fluke died, never seen a bat thrown.
I got you.
State championship.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting us going today. 720-1067 is our number. The Nate Brown Show on today. So it's interesting. It's interesting to me. I do believe that stadiums or leagues or something, it's not like it's not like we're just going berserk, but I will tell you, we get some of Grandpa's cough medicine in us, okay? Then some of these fans are younger as well, so they're tough. They're tough guys, and then we're throwing stuff from the stands into the field, and then that's going to lead to, I'm here to tell you, it's going to lead to another situation like Ron Artest running into the stands in Detroit. And we can't have it. We can't have it. And sports has a little conundrum on our hands right now. We want fans to behave better, and we don't want them to yell at refs, right? We always say this, right? Yet we have some of these players and coaches yelling at the refs and yelling at the umps. I mean, we're in a little bit of a conundrum here. I'll get into that. Hang on. Thanks for calling. You're live, and you go ahead.
Well, I don't think it's just even with sports, because I think society's got short fuse, period. So,
yeah.
So no, but my thing is with pro athletes, until they stop acting like children on their own part. I mean, I don't know who the guy was that threw he went ballistic on the umpire with the third
last night, Kyle Schwarber, last night, yes.
Yeah, Schwarber. I mean, then how about the college kid that tackled the other athlete when he hit a home run on him?
Yes.
So it's hard for me to side with these athletes when they go about and do this to themselves.
Well, but that's my conundrum. That's why, I mean, we got fans acting crazy, and then at the same time, we want everybody to be more respectful, and then we watch a guy like Schwarber go off last night. Some people thought it was funny. I watched the whole thing. I mean, it is what it is. Angel Hernandez hasn't been a good ump, but he just went off.
Yeah, I mean, he acted like I don't know. It's like somebody stole something from him, and he just. And I don't. To me,
you can't throw stuff at players.
No,
you can't.
You can't throw.
Okay.
I get that, but not. I don't know. I didn't think I saw anything thrown before he went in the stands. Maybe there was, but he went towards the stands. I think just off of verbal altercations first, and then it escalated.
Yeah, I was watching that. It escalated from there, but you know what goes on out there. It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Oh no, but they know that. They've come up through the system, and I'm not saying they're justified. I'm not saying fans are justified, but these people are paying good money, and if they want to talk smack, they're going to talk smack. And these players, man, they don't have a thick skin at all anymore. None of them.
Well, you got to have a thick skin.
Hire a counselor.
All right. Yeah. You got to have a thick skin, but I think we got to have some policing. We got to have something. No,
I'm not going to argue with that part of it, but I don't know where do you draw that line? I mean, what can't they say? I mean, how do you know what's hurting their feelings, right?
I know that. I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right.
Appreciate you. Thanks for getting in. Let us know on this because, it's interesting. I just watched this. We talked about this last, I think it was like Wednesday. Then a few days later, we have an incident that's fairly ugly there in New York. And you can watch the video, New York, the bleacher creatures, right? Is that what they call them? Right? The bleacher creatures in New York throwing stuff at the players. And then New York had to up the security last night for the game. So this game happened Saturday. And then for the game yesterday, they had to up the security. Well, which is one of those things. My point is, I want to say, if you get in a big fight in the stands with other fans, I don't want you to be at any more games. If you get into an altercation, you're throwing stuff at players, I don't want you to be at any more games. Okay? It's not two wrongs make a right, okay? The Cleveland player jumping up and getting kind of close to the fan, well, he was antagonized, he was, baited into the, okay? And then the fans throwing stuff. Two wrongs don't make a right. I can't have it. I'd like to go to some place, family entertainment, have a great time. Oh, I know I live in la land, right? But I don't think it's too much to ask to not sit around a bunch of doofuses. I don't want them there at the games. Get them out of there. Get them out. Thanks for calling. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. What's up?
I want to speak specifically to the incident with Schwarber last night.
Okay.
I mean, this Angel Hernandez has been a bad umpire for many years.
He struggled, yes.
He should not be in this has been a problem with players and him for many years because he's inconsistent, and you can't have that as an umpire.
It did boil over, I feel like, last night because of the previous history. I think it boiled over with Schwarber last night.
But Schwarber was actually arguing for both sides. He
did say that. He did say that.
Yeah, and he said, you've been inconsistent to both, and he pointed to both dugouts, and the announcers even made the same comment. It's fine if you're going to call a ball, a couple inches off the plate a strike, then you have to call it consistently a strike. Or
here's my issue with it. Here's my issue with it. I know Schwarber. I've been a fan of his because he was a Cubby, right? So I've watched Schwarber, but my issue with it is now our players today watch that last night. and they all laugh at it, and they think we can act like Kyle Schwarber. I get worried about that. Players right here in town.
And I think he did it because it was the ninth inning, and he wasn't going to. I mean, the game was about over anyway. I mean, that was a second out, I think. So he was probably getting ejected, figuring. I mean, if that was earlier in the game, he probably wouldn't have done that. I mean, I'm not condoning what he did.
Right. That's what I can't go there. I can't go there. But I know what you're saying about Hernandez. I think it boiled over. Yet we're at this spot. You used to be an ump and ref. Okay, so we say we got to treat him with respect, and then Schwarber goes off, and then we say, well, he had a right to because Angel Hernandez stinks. So we're in this conundrum here.
Well, the main issue to me with Hernandez is he's been a problem umpire for many years, and the league still has him umpiring, and I don't think personally he should be in the league anymore. He's been a bad
now,
umpire.
you can make an argument for that, yes.
And he's got rabbit ears. You can't talk to him. He's got a really short fuse. I mean, other umpires will let you, chirp a little bit and still keep you in the game. But he's been a thin skin for a long time, and plus he's a bad umpire.
Now, should he get reviewed, and does he get reviewed appropriately? Maybe not. Maybe not.
No, and that's my point. The NFL referees are evaluated after, of course, there's only 17 games in a season, but and you can't, check every umpire for 162 games. But I don't think those guys are evaluated enough. And some of them, won't let you even say anything, and you're gone. Others will let you say a lot before they ring you up.
That was the match there last night because Kyle said a lot. He said a lot for both teams.
I know when I was a basketball ref, if I missed a call and the guy yelled at me, the last thing I'm going to do is tee him up, because if I miss the call, then it's he has a right to get on me, especially if I wasn't in position.
Angel's had this history where he's kind of the guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of the guy in charge. No, I know what you're saying. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting in. I know that because I was going to discuss this deal. We have all these things popping over the last 48 hours here. Fans going berserk in New York. Okay, unacceptable. And then we have this situation where nationally, I saw 4 stories today. 4 stories today. Officials quitting at the youth level. We've talked about this on this show, right? I see 4 stories today. Associated Press, Sioux City Journal. I mean, it's just Good Morning America this morning. So 4 stories today as spring sports gets going, the officials quitting. And then we see Kyle Schwarber go off the deep end last night because Angel Hernandez made a bad strike call in the 9th. And so then actually Angel Hernandez was given a grade last night. There's this company that goes through every pitch in the strike zone. Okay, every pitch in the strike zone. Ump scorecard. And the scorecard on Angel last night was what? His consistency was 88%. His accuracy was 88%. The Major League Baseball average so far for umps on ump scorecards, 94%. So Angel last night, not a great game. 88% accuracy, the average 94%. But does that give Kyle Schwarber the right to go off? Go off. Because I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to feel, and play my violin for Angel Hernandez. I've watched a lot of games that he's umped, okay? Questionable things here and there. Not going to play the small violin here for Angel, but young players see Kyle Schwarber and think what? Well, I can get fired up too, man. I can yell and cuss and do all this and get. If you don't think that, that's I'm here to tell you that's the story. I don't. The deal about being a pro at some point too, you got to maintain composure. You got to maintain composure, okay? Fans in New York not maintaining composure, whatever went on there, it wasn't good. And you were a little close to being a little, Malice at the Palace rerun, the Artest mess in Detroit. And a little close there for my liking. And that turns badly, okay? Fans got to do a better job, and leagues have to do a better job. I absolutely believe it. Listener text coming in. Behavior needs to be policed and bad behavior needs to be punished. If you're out of line, the stadium staff should punish accordingly, up to and including bans. I absolutely agree with that. I like that. I absolutely agree. I said, hey, I mean, we just let guys, it seems like we just let everybody get away with stuff. Fights in the stands, just being belligerent, going crazy. Now, we throw stuff in New York. Are those guys going to be able to come back to watch the Yankees? They're throwing stuff at Cleveland. I haven't heard anything that, they're in big trouble or anything like that. They should be. I think we can clean it up. Listener text, they need to stop letting people into the stadiums that are clearly already drunk before the game. I've been to a lot of Cubs games, and there's people passing out in the third inning. Oh, come on! Why'd you have to pick on my Cubs? I've been to Cubs games. Yeah, I'm not one of those guys. I'm a friendly confines Cub faithful. Just tried and true. Let's go to Chris Hummer next. Getting started on a Monday. A lot to discuss today. Chris Hummer, college football writer for 24/7 Sports. So, over the last 2 years, how many guys that entered the transfer portal in football found another place to play? The numbers are out today. That's next.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show. Remember to follow us on Twitter @NateBrownShow and like us on Facebook by searching Fox Sports Rapid City.
There are times in life when you just have to say, this is a no-brainer, and we are doing it. And right now is one of those times. Renewal by Andersen makes the best windows you can get. They have more 5-star customer reviews than anyone in the industry. And right now you can get Renewal by Andersen windows with no money down, no interest, no payments for a full year with approved credit. A full year. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com. Renewal by Andersen. This is one of those times in life. It's a no-brainer. We're doing it.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight with lows around 31. Winds out of the south 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies again tomorrow, highs around 66. Tomorrow night, lows dip down to about 40. Temperatures a bit above average Wednesday and Thursday with highs from the low 60s to the mid 60s. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 50.
I'm with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales Service and Detail. You've added another new product to your arsenal.
The Braxton Creek Bushwhackers are back in stock, and it's been a long wait, so hurry in before they're gone again.
I tell you, these little rascals got so many options for their size, it's unreal.
Amazing little units, complete with kitchen, sink, cooktop, cooler, memory foam mattress, even a built-in furnace and air conditioning system.
It really is incredible, all the amenities these teardrops have, folks. To have their own heating and cooling system in a unit this size, you gotta be kidding. Unbelievable.
Totally self-contained off-road suspension campers with their own battery power and propane tank, and they're solar ready too. They even have a built-in stereo and come pre-wired for TV. With over 2 million acres just minutes away, it's time for adventure junkies to head for the hills.
Hey, there's no better way to disappear for a while in one of these little campers, people. You just gotta see these Bushwhacker teardrops. Now at Anytime Auto Sales. See anytime.com, and as always at the corner of Highway 79 in East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
Tin Lizzie BetMGM Sportsbook is your home for the best sports betting experience in Deadwood. With great food, great service, and brand new 4K TVs, there's not a bad seat in the house. And every game is on at Tin Lizzie, where you can bet on Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NHL, and UFC. BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzie, the king of sportsbooks. What game are you betting on? Make your play at Tin Lizzie, Main Street, Deadwood.
Hi, it's Colin Coward. Great to be in the Black Hills. Getting the herd weekdays 10 to 1 on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show, lively on a Monday. We're back at it on Fox Sports Rapid City. Your sports, your show. Packed tonight. NFL draft analyst Chad Forbes coming up from New York. He wasn't in the bleachers or anything. He's too busy right now. He's covering the NFL draft. Chad Forbes on the way, going through some of the big picks. There's a guy now that's favored to be the number 1 pick. It just came out of nowhere. Vegas says he was the underdog to be the number 1 pick. Now he's the favorite to be the number 1 pick. This is interesting to me. I'm not quite getting it. Chad Forbes on the way, NFL draft analyst. Chris Hummer's in tonight, college football writer, covers recruiting, the portal, and more, 24/7 Sports. Find him on Twitter at Chris_Hummer, and he joins us on the Nate Brown Show. Chris, good to have you on. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your time. So I caught your tweet on this as you look through some NCAA research over the last 2 years, and this one really interests me. NCAA looked at the transfer portal, and they looked at all the players on scholarship, football players, FBS. And about 4 out of 10 transfers over the last 2 years ended up not keeping their scholarships. So we're talking 4 that had scholarships someplace. They go into the portal. They don't end up having a place, another place. What did you think of that when you saw it today?
I mean, I frankly wasn't that surprised. We've dove into this data before, and it's never been particularly favorable for the large majority of players who enter the portal. I think we looked at the 2019-20 cycle specifically, and only like 39% of FBS scholarship players ended up staying on the FBS level as scholarship players. So we talked about 40% earlier not keeping their scholarship, but that's for like guys who dropped down the FCS too. So it's not that surprising to me. And like I should say, it's not all players making bad decisions. Like in some cases, this is schools cutting players essentially so they can get down to 85 scholarships so they can replace them with somebody else. We see that happen all too frequently in college athletics. But it is an eye opener because like the portal is not always the best option for players, and as that stat shows, like a lot of times they'll end up not graduating or keeping their scholarship. It's just kind of the reality.
It's interesting. So if 4 out of 10 transfers lose their scholarship in one way or another, 4 out of 10 transfers, what does this tell us about high school kids just getting started here? That has to have an impact there as well.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, 500 fewer FBS scholarship players signed with FBS programs. So you're talking about 500 fewer high school players than normal signing with with college teams 2 years ago. I think that number's probably shifted a little bit. I think this year it was closer to like 250, 300. But we're seeing a significantly fewer number of high school players signed because of the transfer portal, because we have like dozens of teams taking 10-plus transfers, and before those would have been high school kids.
Chris Hummer covers college football, the portal, and recruiting 24/7 Sports. That research coming out over the last 2 years. So I'll ask you this. I've asked some college guys this. Is this just the COVID deal, the extra year of eligibility, there's too many players in the pool, or is this going to be the deal in college football, portal busyness every year at a high level?
I think it'll be the case for another 2 years or so. We have to wait for the super seniors to cycle out for us to really have an idea what this will look like on an annual basis. Because there's so many extra scholarship players right now, with everybody receiving that extra year of eligibility they didn't have before. There are just too many players for the amount of spots. So that's naturally leading to a lot of movement. But I think it depends. I think we're still going to see the portal be a significant amount of signings and activity in college football. It's just become the new normal so quickly, but I would expect to see it reduce significantly with the super senior rule.
Let me get into some classes here. 2023 class, which everybody's putting together right now. Notre Dame and the new head coach Marcus Freeman ranked pretty high up there. I've seen him at number 1 in some places with this class. I know it's early, but what should we think about Notre Dame at that high of a level?
I mean, Marcus Freeman is a pretty aggressive recruiter, and in a lot of ways, personality-wise, is a bit different than Brian Kelly. And I think he's done a really good job aggressively pursuing impact players early on. I think the criticism of Brian Kelly, at least early in his career, at Notre Dame was his inability to land kind of those top 5 classes that you need to win championships. And Marcus Freeman is putting Notre Dame in position to do so. I don't expect that class to change. kids don't sign on to play at Notre Dame unless they really mean it because of the academic commitment that comes with it. You don't see a lot of kids split from Notre Dame. It doesn't happen very frequently. So I expect that class to stay really highly ranked, and it's a credit to Marcus Freeman's ability to recruit.
How about the Arkansas piece on this? Arkansas looks like they're in the top 5 right now. What do you credit there?
Well, I won't lie to you. I don't really cover much day-to-day recruiting. I'm more on the college football side, but Sam Pittman is a guy that's very easy to relate to. I think they have a slightly larger class than some of the other teams in the top 5, so that's a lot of that. Like, the amount of signees you have plays in your recruiting ranking. By the end of the cycle, that'll balance out. But I know Arkansas's class is still really good right now. Sam Pittman's an easy guy to get along with. They've got a dynamic offense with Kendall Briles as the offensive coordinator. Barry Odom, former Missouri coach, leads the defense. They've done a really good job recruiting on that side of the ball, too. So just a lot of things working in Arkansas' favor, especially after the momentum they created last season. It feels like the Chad Morris era was a very long time ago at this point.
College football writer, 247sports.com, Chris Hummer on. Last one here, Oklahoma comes out with a little bit of news. Legendary coach Barry Switzer starting up, or at least helping with a collective at Oklahoma. They could pay football players, basketball players, softball players up to $50K a year. This just seems like the new norm, right? You got to have big money in a collective. What do you say about Oklahoma stepping in?
As you said, it's just kind of the new norm. I guess in this era of college football, you have to have collectives and people willing to essentially pay to play, to compete. The NCAA can't really enforce anything right now. They've got basically 2 arms tied behind their back because of ongoing lawsuits and then the hope of legislation from Congress, which doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. So Oklahoma's just getting in the game. We're seeing a lot of recruits being paid significant sums of money to attend colleges, which is nothing new. But in this era, you have to have the fundraising arm to go with that. Personally, I'm very curious in a couple of years what's going to happen with fundraising efforts for things like facilities. Like, the money's coming from the same pot, basically. So I think a really interesting thing to think about long term is, do the athletes get prioritized, or is it things like athletic improvement that take priority for boosters?
That is interesting. I've been in the fundraising arm of college athletics. I was thinking the same thing. It's always, well, you got to raise money for this, this, and this. And now the collective's raising money for NIL deals. And Oklahoma, one of the new ones in the mix with Barry Switzer. Chris Hummer on tonight. Follow him on Twitter at Chris_Hummer, 247 Sports college football writer. Chris, always great. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
All right. Appreciate the time. Chris Hummer, college football writer, 247sports.com, covers the portal and the game, Chris_Hummer. So look at that number today. NCAA put this out today about the transfer portal. You know, this just came into play the last couple of years in a big, big way, where you can transfer, no questions asked. You know, you don't have to sit out. The waiver process went away, so you can transfer. And here's what they found the last 2 years. Football players going into the transfer portal, 4 out of 10 end up not having a scholarship somewhere else. So now keep this in mind. They have a scholarship at some place. Essentially, a lot of these, most of these guys, and you can say, well, they weren't going to play, or they weren't going to, contribute to their team, so they were trying to find another place. And the deal is, 4 out of 10 of them transfer to another place, and they don't have a scholarship, or they can't find another place. I mean, I think that number's high. We're talking the official number is 59% of FBS scholarship players transferred and stayed on scholarship. 59%. So you're talking the average there is 4 out of 10 transfers, 4 of them that go in. Hey, I'm going to transfer. I've got a scholarship here. I'm going to transfer. They end up not having a scholarship wherever they end up, wherever they go to play, and that means they're probably not playing much, if at all. They can't find a home. So I don't know, I think the takeaway from that is I still believe a lot of the athletes make snap judgments. They make quick decisions. They get upset about this, Feelings hurt about that. I'm not going to do well anymore here, so I'm going to go somewhere else. And they don't have that plan in place, and they're thinking, I've been told I'm the dude since I came here. I'm going to transfer somewhere else and be the dude, and then they're not. 4 out of 10 of them not even essentially having a scholarship to play. I think that number's huge. Huge. That just came out from the NCAA. By the way, a new story out today on the basketball side, the transfer portal. This is the first time I've seen this. Okay, and I look at these stories a lot. This is the first time I've seen this. A basketball player has transferred, college basketball player, from Kansas State to Miami. And they announced this today, that he ends up with the Hurricanes. And right away on the announcement today, he gets a 2-year, $800,000 NIL deal and a car. It sounds like the price is right. It sounds like, hey, we got a new player for the Miami Hurricanes. Got a transfer from Kansas State. And what he gets is a new car and $800,000 over the next 2 years. Just have to make sure you, keep that deal going with LifeWallet. LifeWallet's the big supporter of Miami Hurricanes and their NIL deals. How about that? I've never, I know this stuff's happening. NIL deals, and this guy goes there, and this guy goes here. I've never seen it announced like on the same day. Hurricanes pick up new transfer, and here's the specifics of the deal. $800,000 cash with LifeWallet NIL and a new car. Very rare as far as terms of the deal being disclosed, but that's the new Miami Hurricanes guard. Interesting world. Chad Forbes is next, NFL draft analyst. There's a new player that is, Vegas is telling us this is going to be the number 1 pick this week. What is going on with this? He wasn't the consensus. Now he is. Chad Forbes, NFL draft analyst, on that and more next.
From high school to college to the pros, this is the Nate Brown Show on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hey, Rapid City, you've heard me talk about 454. Have you been there yet? If you're looking for the best place to have a cold one, they have the best selection by far. 454 downtown with 54 taps of beer from local and regional breweries. Bingo night on Tuesdays, a great sports area upstairs, and they bring in live music. 454 has something for everybody, and the food is unbelievable. There's no place like it in the region, and we have it right here in Rapid City. 454 downtown Main Street.
We're all going somewhere. Going higher, faster, farther. Going in new directions, to new places. At Monument Health, we keep going so you can keep going. We're dedicated to advanced orthopedic care with the latest innovations, technology, expertise, and treatment. So keep exploring, keep making memories, keep going with Monument Health as your partner. Learn more at monument.health/orthopedics.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, your finances, your insurance, your life? This is State Farm Agent Matt McCormick. Let me help you simplify and get to a better state. With me handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. Even more money, too. Because adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40%. Call me, State Farm Agent Matt McCormick, and get to a better state with State Farm. 348-0464.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
Ever since Barron's Wilson Funeral Home first opened their doors in Rapid City 140 years ago, they have continued to make personal service their #1 priority. In your time of grief, they offer a personal touch by being at your side through every step of the funeral process. They answer difficult questions and guide you toward other professional services you may need. See for yourself the wide variety of services they can provide for you by visiting their website at baronswilson.com.
Hi, I'm Bill from Wirefree USA, your local authorized DirecTV retailer. You wouldn't buy an expensive, high-powered motorcycle and then put training wheels on it, would you? So why would you try to get a beautiful picture on that expensive HD TV by hooking it up to cable? DirecTV offers access to 200 full-time high-definition channels. Ask how you can get your TVs connected to the internet, and you can get DVR functionality in every room on every TV. With Genie, DirecTV's most advanced HD DVR ever, you have the ability to record up to 5 shows at the same time. Never call an 800 number again. Call us at 343-3806 or stop by our showroom at 680 North Lacrosse Street, 3 blocks south of Walmart. The future is Wirefree USA with DirecTV.
24-month agreement required. HD channel count varies by package selection. HD equipment required. Hardware and programming available separately. Additional and advanced receiver fees apply. New approved customers only. Other conditions apply. Call for details.
Hi, this is Dan Patrick. Remember to catch me weekday mornings from 7 until 10 a.m. right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 a.m. Fox Sports Rapid City. And now, back to Rapid City's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show live, South Dakota Sports Talk Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Also bring us up on YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. Watch us live. Welcome to the studio on Twitter, at Nate Brown Show. You can watch us right there on your phone on Twitter. Follow us at Nate Brown Show. Coming up, Ben Verlander, Fox Sports Major League Baseball analyst. A lot of Major League Baseball topics to hit, including fan behavior, player behavior, and an automated strike zone mentioned last night. One manager says, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it after this mess last night. We'll talk to Ben Verlander coming up. Chad Forbes is live, NFL draft analyst. It's the week. It's that week, and he's doing us a hit here on Fox Sports Rapid City. NFL Draft Bites on Twitter. Follow Chad there at NFL Draft Bites. Chad, good to have you. How are you?
A few days out from the draft. Great time of year for a really wild draft coming up in a few days.
Okay. It is wild. You've been in this business. You've been looking at it. So I want to know what's going on here. Jacksonville has the number 1 overall pick right now. And this guy wasn't the favorite earlier. Now at Caesar Sportsbook, he is. Trayvon Walker. He's the favorite to go number 1 all of a sudden. Went from plus 150 to minus 200. What's the story, Chad?
It's got to be Aiden Hutchinson first overall, but it feels like there's a pull to get him to Detroit, whether that's coming from the league office. The Jaguars, if they're not going to take him first overall, they got to find a way to turn that into a couple extra picks to the Lions because he's the best player in this draft. Trayvon Walker is really a projection at this point.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you say you're not buying that. Your number 1 guy is Aiden Hutchinson. You believe Aiden Hutchinson is that much better than the Bulldogs' Trayvon Walker. Why so much hype around Walker right now?
Less of a projection with Hutchinson. We've seen the production on tape this year at Michigan. With Walker, you're basically projecting that a guy who's an elite athlete can turn it into pass rush production. It's something his scheme limited him in doing down at Georgia this past year.
Chad Forbes on NFL Draft Analyst. So Vegas says Trayvon Walker's going number 1. At least those are the odds. I find that interesting. Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan. Tell me what you say about Hutchinson. If he's the number 1 guy for you, how do we compare him to a Bosa? What do we say?
Athletically, he's not on the level with the Bosas, but he's still a very good athlete. I compare him more to like a Chris Long. There's a ton of effort to his game. He's physically sets an edge. He's got some bend. He might not be the perennial all-pro like the Bosa brothers have become, or a Myles Garrett that's gone that high, but you're going to get good production out of him. You're not going to miss on Aiden Hutchinson. And somehow I just see him ending up in Detroit as kind of the face of the revitalization of that team. Local kids staying in town, kind of a Joe Burrow version for their defense.
Okay, so you think Jacksonville's going to move on? Are they going to do something with the number 1 pick or not?
Well, they should be able to get a couple picks from Detroit if they're not going to take Hutchinson there. And, maybe the Lions just say no and sit and wait. But, if you're Detroit and it costs you a third this year and maybe a third next year to move up and get the guy you really covet, I think come draft day they got to do it.
Chad Forbes on, talking NFL draft. It's this week in Vegas. So the last time a quarterback didn't go in the top 10, Chad, was 2013. And Vegas is telling us right now it's going to be dicey if a quarterback goes in the top 10. What do you say?
Right, and teams like Atlanta, Seattle, and Carolina got to make a decision. Do they take a quarterback at 6, 8, and 9, or do they try to get him further down the board? And Carolina is a really classic case where they've only got the 6th pick, and then they go 137. So if they don't get a quarterback there, they got to start packaging picks to get back up for the quarterback like Kenny Pickett, who most believe they covet. I see the Steelers having to move up from 20. I think they want Malik Willis. But if you're the Falcons and the Seahawks, there's not much in that quarterback market, and you've got picks in the 2nd and 3rd round you could package to move up into the back half of the 1st round. So it comes down to what's available there at 8 and 9. But somehow I think a quarterback will at least go in the top 15.
Okay, top 15. Top 15. You're not sure about top 10. When it comes to the quarterback that you like, I had you on a while ago. Who's your guy right now, the quarterback that you would take off the board?
It's down to Malik Willis and Matt Corral for me. With Willis, it's a little bit of a projection. He comes from an offense that was really one read and then run. So you're projecting that his physical traits, arm strength, great athleticism, he's a very smart guy, will translate into the NFL. And he's going to need to use his legs right away. So I love him in a place like Pittsburgh, but don't necessarily think he'd be a good fit in a place like Carolina. And Matt Corral, I like a lot about him. You hear some questions about his maturity, but he's got a really twitchy arm, an athletic guy. So he'd be a great fit for like the Saints or the Seahawks.
Okay, I got to get a Broncos question in here, Chad. Broncos aren't picking in the 1st round. At least it looks that way right now. Had to give up the picks, and Russell Wilson's the quarterback. They were thrown around in Denver the last couple of days that they might go developmental quarterback in the middle rounds. Do you see anybody?
Maybe they take a Bailey Zappi. They've got 2 picks at 115 and 116. So they've got 5 picks there from 64 to 116. Maybe they go with a Zappi or Carson Strong if he falls. But really, it comes down to they got to find another edge rusher, an inside linebacker, and some offensive line help. Really, right tackle's got to be their priority there at 64. And I think what you'll see the general manager do there is not having a 1st-round pick. Maybe take a few gambles on the guys that either have character issues or are just really good athletes and hope the coaching staff can develop them. One name that I really have pinned there is Sam Williams, the edge rusher from Ole Miss in round 3.
Sam Williams, Ole Miss, edge rusher. Broncos need another one. Chad Forbes on, NFL draft analyst. The draft is in Vegas this week. You can find him on Twitter at NFL Draft Bites. When you say the draft's going to be wild, what do you mean?
The guys like the tackles, right? Evan Neal and Charles Cross and Ike Ekwonu, they could go 1st overall or fall all the way out of the top 10. And the only guy you could say certainly he's going to go in a particular range is Aiden Hutchinson will go 1 or 2. But Trayvon Walker, look at him. He could go 1 or he could go 8. So I think there's 8 guys that are kind of in that top tier of prospects, and there's 4 or 5 guys that I would call in the 1B group, and they should be going in the top 12. That's the corners, the 4 pass rushers, the 3 tackles, and the wide receiver should slide in there somewhere.
Okay, I got something here for Vikings fans. I'll ask you. They got pick number 12. If Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame safety, sitting there, do you take him? Where do the Vikings go?
Yeah, the 2 more realistic fits for them are Derek Stingley Jr., a corner, who they basically have 2 of his coaches on their staff, so they know him really well. And if he gets past 12, he could be in a little bit of a free fall. And then a local guy, the pass rusher, Jermaine Johnson. I understand they brought Smith in for agency and they got Daniel Hunter back, but you can't have enough pass rushers. So safety it's a position you can fill in for agency on the cheap, and they've already invested pretty big there with Harrison Smith. If you really believe in Hamilton, you think he's a transcendent player, then perhaps you could take him at 12, but there's some issues with his testing and also the medicals.
Okay, I'll ask you about a position that it seems like has just faded, running backs. What do we see from running backs in an NFL draft this year?
Breece Hall will go somewhere in the 2nd round, the Iowa State running back, and then you could see not another running back go in maybe the top 70. So
wow.
It could be a fall for guys like Kenneth Walker, Spiller, Brian Robinson, James Cook. But then I think in round 4, people start to realize that sure, it's a devalued position. We still need multiple of them, and you should see them start coming off the board around I'd say like 115, 116. Falcons will probably get in there, maybe the Broncos, but. Yeah, it's just such a devalued position. It's easy to fill in the cheap in free agency.
Okay, so that's what's interesting. It's like, man, running backs used to be some guys, and now you're talking about very few off the board. in the top 70. Chad Forbes on Twitter at NFL Draft Bites. Follow him there this week, especially as he gets going for the draft in Vegas. Chad, always good. Thanks a lot.
Nate, thanks for the time.
Appreciate your time. Chad Forbes on breaking it down. Broncos, Vikings, and more. How about that? NFL draft analyst from New York. How about that? Running backs. He said one might go in the top 70? I mean, I just think about how the NFL has really, really shifted. Think about the running backs used to be the stars. Are running backs that devalued now? Running backs are that devalued? I mean, that just blows my mind. Broncos took a running back last year. He's been very, very good out of North Carolina. Been very, very good. A big key to the offense this next year. Javonte Williams, I mean, he's been solid. And I'm sitting here going, the running back position is that devalued that guys are going to fall that far. Some pretty elite running backs, some really good running backs in college. And they're that devalued that they're going to fall. So interesting stuff on like who's going to go number one overall. It's not as hyped as before. I mean, I do this every year. And so you've always had huge names, quarterbacks, and where are they going to go and who's going to take. Now you got people debating defensive edge rushers. Is it going to be Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan going number one? Is it going to be Georgia defensive end Travon Walker, who none of you guys know about? Travon Walker, in his career at Georgia, has 9.5 sacks. And he might be the number one pick from the Jaguars if they keep that, essentially. That's what Vegas tells us. All of a sudden, this guy, Travon Walker, Georgia defensive end, goes from an underdog to be the number one pick to now the favorite, according to Vegas betting odds. It's a bizarre thing. I know it's just the betting market, but that's a bizarre thing. Travon Walker, 9.5 sacks in his Georgia career. When you compare that to like Bosa, he had like, I think it was 26. I mean, three times as many. So that'll be interesting. Chad Forbes says Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan edge rusher, is the best player to take. The best player to take. And his quarterback selection, Malik Willis. More of a project there, he said, but Malik Willis. Do the Steelers go after a Malik Willis, somebody like that? Where do the Broncos go? They're going to have to wait a little while to make some picks. First round coming up later this week in Vegas. Ben Verlander's on next. Major League Baseball analyst, Fox Sports, Flippin' Bats podcast. A lot of baseball news to hit. I'm going to get into a lot. Manager last night, a baseball manager, old school guy. This guy's old school. He said, yeah, I'd be open to the automated strike zone, the old robot strike zone. We'll discuss it next.
Your sports, your show. This is the Nate Brown Show on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
There are times in life when you just have to say, this is a no-brainer, and we are doing it. And right now is one of those times. Renewal by Andersen makes the best windows you can get. They have more 5-star customer reviews than anyone in the industry. And right now you can get Renewal by Andersen windows with no money down, no interest, no payments for a full year with approved credit. A full year. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com. Renewal by Andersen. This is one of those times in life. It's a no-brainer. We're doing it.
Street Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight with lows around 31. Winds out of the south, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies again tomorrow, highs around 66. Tomorrow night, lows dip down to about 40. Temperatures a bit above average Wednesday and Thursday with highs from the low 60s to the mid 60s. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 50.
Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet buys cars. You heard that right. We don't just sell cars, we buy them too. We make cash offers to purchase local cars, trucks, and SUVs every day. Tired of listing online? Tired of messages? Or just tired of making payments? Whatever the reason, make an appointment at rapidchevrolet.com for a no-obligation appraisal. It's fast and free. When you're ready to sell, we're ready to buy. At Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet, Rapid City.
From the minute you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, Black Hills Energy is here to support, inspire, and drive your next adventure. Because supporting your day-to-day is our everyday. And we are always here, ready for your next step. Black Hills Energy. Ready.
Nothing compares to the giveaways at First Gold Gaming Resort. Our promo hot seat drawings every weekend pay out over $34,000. Saturday night's Lucky Sevens drawings award players with another $21,000 in cash. On April 30th, the Golden Cash Blast pays out another $12,000 in cash. Plus, First Gold has slot tournaments every Friday and Sunday totaling $16,000 in prize packages. All told, that's over $80,000 every single month at First Gold Gaming Resort. It's where Deadwood begins and the winning never ends.
Doctor, are you going to start the ventricular bypass?
Wow, I've never seen the inside of a person's chest cavity before.
Doctor?
Well, my specialty is proctology, not hearts, but I'm game if you are.
Would you want a proctologist operating on your heart? Renewal by Anderson of South Dakota thinks not. You'd want a specialist or an expert.
Scalpel.
Scalpel.
Does someone have a diagram? We have nothing that looks like this on the other end.
That's why when you need replacement windows, you need Renewal by Anderson, because they only do windows. They're experts, no subcontractors.
Nurse, if we're operating on the left ventricle, is that my left or his left?
His left.
His left, my right?
No, you're right.
Let's start from the bottom up, please.
Renewal by Anderson's hassle-free, energy-efficient, low-maintenance windows with a professional, perfect fit. They won't leave you hanging.
Doctor, where are you going?
In proctology speak, I'm pooped. Just leave him as he is, and I'll try again tomorrow.
For a perfect fit, call 605-341-7831. That's 605-341-7831. Renewal by Anderson of South Dakota.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show live, Fox Sports Rapid City on a Monday with Ben Verlander, Fox Sports Major League Baseball analyst. His podcast, Flippin' Bats, download it where you get your podcasts. Flippin' Bats Pod. Ben Verlander on a casual Monday here on the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Ben, always good to have you. How are you?
I'm great, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate your time. So I'll ask you first a few things popping, including Kyle Schwarber last night in the Philadelphia Phillies loss. Schwarber gets a third call strike from Angel Hernandez. Schwarber goes off, and now a debate is happening of, okay, Angel Hernandez, he's been under scrutiny before. This umpire scorecard said he was 88% accurate last night. The league average is 94%. What should we be thinking about when it comes to Major League Baseball, their reviews of umpires? What's the right answer?
The right answer is they need to be held accountable. Obviously, they're humans. We're not expecting them to get every single call correct by any means, but they need to be better than Angel Hernandez was last night. And you just want to see people held accountable. Players are held accountable. Most employees, no matter what you do, are held accountable for the job that you do. So when you see him go out there, he's the one guy that all baseball fans know his name. You just know he's not going to do a good job, and he often doesn't. So, I just wish umpires were held accountable more. The name of the game isn't to be perfect. It's just to get the majority of the calls right. And missing almost 15% of the calls in the game isn't great. And there needs to be something done about that because it truly is affecting the outcome of games.
Was that a bad look for Schwarber last night? He went off the rails.
Yeah, I think it was built up. I think he was frustrated for himself. I think he was frustrated for his team. I think, it was a lot that led up to that moment. It wasn't just that one call, because the truth of the matter is that wasn't even close to the worst of his calls that night. It was a pretty good pitch. It was close. It wasn't a strike, but it was it was decent, and he went off. And I think not only did he speak for himself and his teammates, I think he kind of spoke for the entire baseball world in that moment. It was wild.
Joe Girardi, old school guy, old school manager, he said last night after the deal, yeah, I'd be up for automated strike zone here. I'd be able to look. I'd be willing to look at it. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I do think baseball is heading more towards that direction, but I'm not fully there yet. There's a lot of work to be done on the automated strike zone, but I do like what my brother tweeted out a little while ago, that he thinks there should be like a challenge, and each team is allowed one challenge, and it happens in the moment. It's not like we can check. It has to be a instantaneous challenge, almost similar to tennis, where the player can challenge it in that moment, and if they're wrong, they're wrong. If they're right, it gets changed. But you have one challenge, and go about it that way. And I tend to like that. I think it's a good idea. It doesn't slow the game down any because it happens in the moment. You know instantaneously what the answer is. So I like that. His exact words, here it is now. Maybe some sort of appeal system. Has to be in real time, though. If you're not right, you lose the ability to appeal the rest of the game. If you are right, the call is reversed, and game goes on with the ability to still appeal future ball strike calls. I think that's a good idea.
Interesting. Ben Verlander on his brother, of course, Justin Verlander, Major League Baseball pitcher. Speaking of pitching, I'm hearing a lot over the last couple of weeks, Ben, of like new pitches being developed. New pitches. I mean, we have the slider, we have the curve, we have the change. Okay, now we're talking about sinkers that are sliders too. And do we know, are there new pitches out there?
Yeah, I think in the age of analytics, we're just seeing pitchers be able to do so many different things, and they're able to know. I was talking to I was on a Japanese news show recently talking about Shohei, and they showed me a slow motion video of how he came about working on his splitter, and it's like on this slow motion computer that shows the air friction on the ball and how to best throw it to maximize movement. And I think just in the age of analytics and technology, pitchers are learning just what to do with the baseball to make it do what they want it to do and experimenting with that. So I think we're seeing a lot of things that we've never seen before just because of the age of analytics kind of says, hey, if you just do this, you'll get this movement on the ball. So, look, some of the pitches we're seeing now are certainly incredible.
Okay, speaking of analytics, you stepped right into this. The Rays finally had a starting pitcher win a game this weekend. That's the first time that's happened. A starting pitcher for the Rays wins the game. Otherwise, it's a lot of relief guys. I saw some baseball guys say this over the weekend. The smarter baseball gets, the harder it is to watch. I don't know if that's the case, but they're talking about using relievers and the struggle of some offenses, and the Rays are leading that charge. What do you say about the Rays' approach? And if I'm a starting pitcher, what do I do if I'm on the Rays?
Yeah, the Rays have kind of been doing that for a few years now. And you look at that roster, they don't really have, like a bona fide starting pitcher. Tyler Glasnow has been hurt. He certainly would have had a win or two by now. He's not a guy, you best believe they're not going to throw him out there for 2 innings. So they're just doing what, the best they can do with what they have. And the analytics say with their pitchers, don't let them get a second, third time through the lineup. So, if you had a guy like Glasnow, things would be different, but they don't have a guy like that on the roster. So they've been doing that for a few years now, doing things a little differently, having an opener. I think by and large, for the most part, around the league, teams are still using starting pitchers fairly traditionally. We're not seeing them go super long into games, but, we're early in the year. But, in my opinion, the Rays have been doing that for a while. They're changing baseball and how it's seen for them. But I don't think that by any means is the future of baseball. You still have starting pitchers doing their thing, and you can look around the minor leagues and see teams still deploying a minor league pitcher, starting pitcher for many innings. So they're grooming them to be ready in the big leagues. I don't think we'll see much of a change in that aspect. Besides the Rays are going to do whatever they do they do it really well. So I'm not going to question it, that's for sure.
Last one for Ben Verlander, Fox Sports Major League Baseball analyst. His podcast, Flippin' Bats. Download it. New York Yankees scene over the weekend. Player from Cleveland climbs the outfield wall, got really, really close to into the stands there. And then fans throw bottles and things at the players. What should be done about that?
Yeah, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done that doesn't allow that. Fans are getting too comfortable being able to just think they're able to do that. And I'm not just talking about what happened in Yankee Stadium the other day. I'm talking about what happened in the NBA playoffs. People running out on the court. We saw it out in a Dodgers-Padres game, somebody throwing something at Cody Bellinger. It's not okay. It's never okay, and it never will be. Words are one thing. Confrontation with a player is one thing. But, you know, Miles Straw and the fans got up close and personal, were yelling at each other. But what gave them the right to throw something on the field? It's a disgrace. It's disgusting. There's no place for it. We need repercussions for that in the future. Those fans that did that need to be banned for life. We have cameras everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's cameras. Find them. Tell them they're banned for life. They're never allowed to come back to a baseball game. Make it public news, and it'll never happen again. We need to be more strict with this. It's not okay. We can injure players. Say what you want. Yell at them. Do whatever you want there. But once you can't start throwing things on the field at players. That's disgusting, and there's no room for that.
I was talking about it starting the show. Ben Verlander on tonight. Find him on Twitter at Ben Verlander. A follow. Download his podcast, The Best in Baseball. They're Flippin' Bats. Fox Sports Major League Baseball analyst. Ben, always great. Thanks for coming on.
Of course, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for the time. Ben Verlander getting us started on a Monday. Fox Sports Major League Baseball analyst, his podcast, Flippin' Bats. All right, download it. You've got it there, Flippin' Bats, where you download your podcast. Ben Verlander on tonight. So that's interesting. I started the show with, last week we talked about some fan behavior and getting edgy and getting to that line, and then you almost had a player-fan real confrontation, meaning physical. It was close. I was watching that Cleveland Yankee Stadium. Okay, and then the Yankees fans started throwing stuff at the Cleveland outfielders and the whole thing. And I was talking about, do you take steps here of banning fans that have that behavior? And I've even taken it this way. You know what I mean? I'm seeing fights break out at stadiums all the time. And when I say I'm seeing that, this is almost Barstool fame, right? Barstool, Frat Row Radio, getting in fights at games. And I'm wondering, I don't think there's any repercussions for that. I don't think there's any consequences for that. Hey, I get in a brawl, I get all drunked up, I get in a brawl at a game, and, it's not a big deal. I get kicked out that game, but I'll be back next week. I don't think that should be the case either. Some ugly scenes out there, some professional sporting venues that I've been watching for really the last couple of years. It's like, well, we're seeing it more because of the cell phones, right? So everybody has it on video. I don't know. It's that argument here. Is it happening more? Are we seeing it more? Did we always have brawls at pro sporting games or pro sporting events? Brawls in the stands? I don't think so. But again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Into the Drive at 5 on a Monday. Well, I've got something for you, okay? You can argue with me on this or not, but I think it might be today on a Monday, the Monday of the NFL Draft. This comes out from a major NFL media guy. And I think it might be the dumbest argument about the NFL Draft I've seen. I'm sorry to tell you, but I have to next.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, streaming live at FoxSportsRapidCity.com and right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
Get away from it all in the great outdoors for lasting family memories with a new or pre-owned RV from Dakota Discount RV. We make your RV experience fun and easy by providing you with a quality recreational vehicle, competitive pricing, and professional sales and service. Our large inventory of fifth-wheelers, travel trailers, toy haulers, and live-in horse trailers allows us to save our customers thousands of dollars compared to most dealers. Stop by and see us at Dakota Discount RV, 3330 East Mall Drive across from Cabela's and on JB Road, Blackhawk.
Hey Black Hills, Boss Pizza and Chicken is now bringing you the best new sports bar in Rapid City. Grab your crew and check out the new Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar on North Lacrosse Street. Same great pizza, chicken, and food you love from Boss, and now a full-service bar with beer, wine, and liquor. Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar is a newly remodeled sports bar with TVs all around and a sports ticker dedicated to local and regional sports. This is the place for sports fans in the Black Hills. The new Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar in North Lacrosse and Rapid City. They're open early and open really late. Also with delivery at BossPizzaandChicken.com.
I'm Tyler Haugen, and this is my wife Dee, and we own D-Tie Vet Supply.
Pioneer Bank has been very good to us.
All our banking is with Pioneer Bank right now.
What you find oftentimes in big corporate banks is they don't allow people to run their business the way that it should be ran. And without a doubt, it's been just an easy relationship with Pioneer Bank. Very easy.
Yeah, we support them because, they support us. Pioneer Bank and Trust is local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City. This is the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at BHOSC.com.
All right, guys, if you need a haircut, the one place I go every time is the Man Salon. And there's a reason for it. They just do the best job. You get a great haircut with your personal stylist. I can watch a game or whatever I want in my own station. Then I get shampoo, hot towel, shoulder massage, all at a great price at the Man Salon. 2 convenient locations for you at Rushmore Crossing and on West Main. The Man Salon offers a military discount for active and retired military. For your next appointment, just book at themansalon.net.
Hey, Rapid City, it's Doug Gottlieb. Join me weekdays from 1 to 4 right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports, Rapid City. And now let's get you back to the Nate Brown Show, Rapid City's sports talk show.
Hey, welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show live on a Monday. The Drive at 5 is here, brought to you by Summit Automotive Group, summitautogrp.com. Experience the Summit difference, your next pre-owned vehicle before you buy. Stop by summitautogrp.com. Take a look. The Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. What's on tap tonight? Matthew Coller's coming up live from Minneapolis. Vikings draft analysis. Vikings have the 12th pick. They take a corner. They tell you, what are we going to do there? Vikings draft analyst Matthew Coller, Purple Insider on the way. Matt Zimmer from Sioux Falls. The Jackrabbits might be suffering a transfer portal casualty from their record-setting men's basketball team. We'll talk to Matt Zimmer coming up about that and more. ArgusLeader.com live from Sioux Falls. What's on tap? Brought to you by Pour 54. Find out what's on tap right now. Pour 54, downtown Rapid City. 54 taps of your local, regional favorite brews. Pour 54, downtown Rapid City. Okay. I didn't think I'd see something like this. I don't know if it's just a story to get people to click on it. You know, that happens, right? That happens. Everybody's trying to put out everything and be controversial and hot take machine. Not this program at all, right? Not this program, but no hot takes here. Only straight shooter analysis. But this is the story today. And so he got me. I clicked on it. And then I was like, no, I guess it's real. I mean, does he really think this? And is there anybody out there that does think this? If there is, let me debate with you for a moment, okay? Let me see if we can debate for a moment. Mike Florio runs Pro Football Talk. Now, Mike has some fans. He has some detractors, and okay, he's pretty bold. He has a radio show, NBC Sports Radio, with Chris Sims, and the whole deal. Mike Florio, pretty big NFL media guy, really Pro Football Talk. I go to that site a lot, okay? Does a solid job on the football news. Does a solid job. Here's what Mike Florio says about this week in the NFL, which is draft week, okay? NFL draft, live from Las Vegas. We're excited, right? I'm always stoked about this, seeing how teams are going to build and which players are going to go where and the whole thing. Mike Florio says in a book, the NFL draft is anti-American. Come on. Mike, please. Well, it's okay. What are we getting to here? What do we get? Quote, Mike Florio here, he writes, the draft reflects anti-American values. It restrains movement and flexibility and the inherent realities of self-determination. It forces men not long removed from being boys to move to places they otherwise would never choose to live, often thousands of miles from the places they'd prefer to start their professional lives. And that's in his book, and I was like, wait a second, so here's the article, and he said, no, he explained his stance right now this week as the draft starts in Vegas. He says, quote, it really is un-American. There's no industry other than professional sports where someone who enters a workforce cannot pick where they're going to live and work. They cannot pick who they're going to work with. They just have to submit. And he goes on, the players are brainwashed. The fans are brainwashed. We just accept that's the way it is. Mike. I've got to say, do all of these players have to play professional football at all? Okay, so that's where the debate starts and ends for me. I mean, I was looking at it going, well, let's do some deep thinking here and some thought-provoking sports talk here today. Let's do some deep thinking. I understand the players don't get to choose where they go to play. This is a different playing field. Literally, this is a different playing field in the game of life. There is no, well, let's see, we're going to force you to go here. You don't have to go there. You don't have to go there. Those guys can say, I'm out. Okay? And why it's never going to happen, I tell Mike Florio, yes, there is no industry other than professional sports where someone who enters a workforce cannot pick where they want to go. There's very few industries where you get the compensation like you see in this world, in this category of professional sports. I mean, this is why it's just different across the board. There's a few examples, by the way, of players who didn't quite want to go where they were told to go. John Elway, you remember this? Our boy John Elway. Your boy Eli Manning. Okay, Eli Manning kind of using some leverage, high-profile examples, but that's just few and far between. It is one of those things that the collective bargaining agreement between the NFL and Players Association has already decided on. They've already decided on this. The collective bargaining agreement and the Players Association and the NFL have this in place. They hold the draft according to the rules. The players get drafted. You go and get compensated like you wouldn't believe. Like you wouldn't believe. Okay? The compensation is just unbelievable. And I find it hard to, I never thought about that. Man, this is un-American. This is, or they're controlling the players and nobody has a choice to do anything. And to me, the debate starts and ends with, you don't have to be a professional football player. Okay, a lot of these guys know the story. They know, and I think there's very few that would probably make the argument of like, yeah, no, this is a bad deal. This is a life-changing deal. Whether I'm going to the Houston Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, wherever, it is a life-changing deal. And by the way, I think most Americans, you would get, let's say you get this choice. You got 4 companies, various states, they tell you where to go. Would we all kind of suck it up and you're getting compensated this and you're going to go to this state for a while? I think we'd all suck it up. Or at least I would. I would. But, oh, hey, I love living in South Dakota. Don't get me wrong, right? I want to live in South Dakota. There's a reason I came back. I was in D.C. I came back, right? Love living in this area. It's always a great day in the Black Hills. But I got to tell you, it starts and ends with, you're not forced to do this job. And then the story is the rules in place that are already there from the Players Association of the NFL. That is the end of the story. There really is no more debate anymore about, players. I mean, by the way, what's the other answer? And Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk today, I don't see any other answer. I was reading through his, players don't get to choose where they get to go, and it's the only industry. There's no other industry other than pro sports that does it like this. And there's no other industry like pro sports. That's the issue. That's the deal. This isn't a bad experience or an anti-American experience for the players this week. In my opinion, it's a life-changing experience for most of them. Darn near all of them. Matthew Collar's in next, talking Minnesota Vikings draft, purpleinsider.com. Who should the Vikings take? And by the way, I saw this number that just came out. Let me pull this one out. Okay? How many picks in the last 15 years have the Vikings spent nearly half of their draft on? Nearly half of their picks in the NFL draft the last 15 years, the Vikings have chosen these positions. Interesting stuff next with Matthew Collar.
The Nate Brown Show.
Warren Chemical and Equipment Company has a 5-step lawn care program to make your lawn the best it can be. Let Warren take care of your lawn weeds, plus 5 applications of fertilizer and micronutrients for a green, healthy lawn. We also offer lawn aeration to help your lawn breathe. Warren's 5-step Lawn Pro Service is the original lawn service company in Rapid City. Single applications of weed and feed or just lawn weeds are also available. Call Warren Chemical and Equipment Company for an estimate on our 5-step lawn care program for your lawn. Phone 342-7644.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight with lows around 31. Winds out of the south 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies again tomorrow, highs around 66. Tomorrow night, lows dip down to about 40. Temperatures a bit above average Wednesday and Thursday with highs from the low 60s to the mid 60s. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 52.
Physical therapy, athletic training, and sports science all at one place. Physio in Rapid City. Dr. Dan Jensen and his team at Physio are ready to help you perform at your best. From the youth athlete to the active adult, trust the team at Physio. Physio offers the skilled, personalized approach to physical therapy and athletic training, building the best athletes in the Black Hills as the official strength and conditioning provider for Stevens, Central, and the Rapid City Rush. Learn more at bhphysio.com.
Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer from Denny Menholt Toyota. Use your phone, it's fast and easy. Pull up our website, click on Value Trade-In, scan your VIN, and tell us about your car. You are on your way to a no-hassle, no-commitment cash offer on your vehicle in under 5 minutes. Bring your vehicle and your Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer to Denny Menholt Toyota and get cash or trade-in credit today. See you soon at Denny Menholt Toyota, Rapid City.
Do you have home renovation plans? With home values rising, let your home's increasing equity help put them into motion. Through April 30th, complete your projects more affordably with Black Hills Federal Credit Union's Home Equity Special. Get ready for outdoor barbecues, an updated kitchen, or finished basement. Learn more at bhfcu.com or text or call 605-718-1818. BHFCU is a member-owned, not-for-profit, equal housing lender.
With 2 locations in Rapid City, Pizza Ranch is ready to serve your family. Every Wednesday is Kids Day. This is the best deal out there with the best buffet in town. One child 12 and under eats free for every regular priced adult at the Pizza Ranch Buffet Wednesdays. And don't forget their senior special every Tuesday for $8.99. The Pizza Ranch Buffet. It's all good at the Pizza Ranch with 2 locations in Rapid City. And remember, daily online specials for carryout or delivery at PizzaRanch.com.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hey, welcome back in the Drive at 5 on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Glad you're part of it. On a Monday, Matt Zimmer's coming up. Argus leader Sioux Falls straight ahead. We'll talk to Matt Zimmer on tap. Matthew Coller's in on the Drive at 5, brought to you by Summit Automotive Group. SummitAutoGRP.com. Start there for your next pre-owned vehicle selection. SummitAutoGRP.com. His site is Purple Insider. Vikings draft. Where do we go now? Minnesota Vikings picking number 12. Matthew Coller's on Twitter at Matthew Coller. A great follow. Matthew, always good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, man. I cannot wait for this NFL draft to happen. It has just been too much build-up, and I'm ready to go.
Okay, I was wondering about that because from the surface here, should Vikings fans be excited about this draft, the picks, what's available? What's your analysis on the surface?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The one thing in Vikings land is I feel like it kind of lacks a blazing hot debate that we can all have. I mean, that, I think that there's a lot of different ways that the Vikings could go that would make their fans happy. I mean, if they come away with a corner, then okay, well, you needed that. If they came away with a pass rusher, great. Trade down, all right, well, they need more players just in general, so more picks would help. The one thing that would be a lot of a debate is if they were to draft a quarterback and really shock everybody, but that seems like it's kind of a long shot. Maybe if Malik Willis fell, they would consider it, but I still think that's not the most likely outcome, that they would probably trade down at that point. So, I think that there's a lot of, fans who are kind of going to ride the wave a little bit here. Maybe wide receiver would get people excited because that would be the first sign of the team going a little more on the offensive end. I mean, really, they have not put almost anything into the offense this offseason except for hiring an offensive head coach. So maybe there's a draft day present for Kevin O'Connell. But, aside from that, if they just kind of go the chalk way and pick a defensive back, well, I think that's okay, and that's a good decision, but it's not exactly going to have people throwing a parade outside of U.S. Bank Stadium.
Okay, so you mentioned a little bit the quarterback situation. You don't think they go there with a first-round choice like that?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they did. I mean, there's a good case for it, which is that, Kirk Cousins, his contract only takes him through 2023. And what everybody says about the quarterbacks in this draft is that they all need development. Even if there is maybe Kenny Pickett, who's considered to be more NFL ready, they all need a year probably to sit on the bench before they're going to be ready to play, especially someone like Malik Willis, who has the highest upside but is probably the most raw coming from Liberty at this moment. So, I think that there is an argument for it and to look toward the future and to think about, there's no more position more valuable than the quarterback, and that's always a good selection. But at the same time, they are, putting together a roster where they're trying to win this year. And so I think that if they're factoring that, something like a wide receiver, a defensive back, probably is more likely, and then they draft a quarterback next year. But with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in charge rather than Rick Spielman, I think it's a lot harder to project than maybe it would have been in the past, where Rick Spielman had obvious tendencies that we had all figured out after a while, and we could kind of project where they would go.
Matthew Coller on talking Vikings draft, 12th pick coming up this week for the Vikings, purpleinsider.com, his site. Over the last 15 years, I saw this number on Twitter. Over the last 15 years, Vikings second-round or higher picks have been spent on defensive backs and offensive linemen. Nearly half of the picks, second-round or higher, DBs and offensive linemen. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that one thing that they were always chasing with Rick Spielman is immediate need. Especially after they had brought in Kirk Cousins and kind of went all in to try to win a Super Bowl by signing Cousins, that maybe they lost sight at times of the long term and were just always picking players to fill immediate needs. I mean, last year is a great example where, look, with the Kirk Cousins situation, they probably should have just picked Mac Jones when he was on the board with their selection, but they needed a left tackle. And then they picked a left tackle, and he wasn't above average in his first year, which most tackles aren't. And I think Christian Darrisaw could be a great player long term, but they were always doing this with Garrett Bradbury picking a center in the first round, trying to fill these spots. Jeff Gladney, they had to go corner in 2020, and maybe there were some opportunities there to just try to stack talent and take the best guys and go forward. I also saw, a chart today, which is, a great part about Twitter, because there's always people doing research on this stuff, that Rick Spielman consistently picked guys that, were older and were not always the greatest athletes. And, I think that with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, they can take a more analytical approach and just try to increase their odds of drafting a little better.
Interesting. So Vikings spent a lot of picks the last 15 years on DBs and offensive linemen. I'm going to ask you, what's their biggest need overall here? You talked about, DB's an okay choice, wide receivers an okay choice. What do they need?
Yeah, they kind of need a lot of everything. That's part of the point of why I guess a lot of us were critical of their offseason is, they have so many needs. They certainly need more pass rush for right now and for later. They have Zadarius Smith and they have Danielle Hunter, but after that, they have no one who can rush the passer that's proven. They have defensive tackles who are run stuffers, linebackers who are more traditional linebackers as opposed to pass rushing linebackers. Patrick Peterson is 32 or 33 years old. Cam Dantzler at corner has not proven himself. They signed, kind of a part-time player from Green Bay as a nickel corner, so they need defensive back. There's a lot there. And also, they haven't exactly solved that offensive line that they've been drafting so much either, because, they still have a center and a guard position that I would consider pretty weak. And then at receiver, Adam Thielen has been hurt 2 of the last 3 years. There's a good argument for that. So that's why I think a lot of people will be, happy with whatever they do, unless it's something completely wild and they draft that punter out of San Diego State or something like that. But aside from that, it's almost hard for them to make the fan base mad with this pick, because everything is going to seem logical.
Okay, Matthew Coller, give me your projection of who they do pick at number 12. Do you have your projection of the player?
Yeah, I think that they don't pick at number 12 and that they trade down and either take a pass rusher or maybe a wide receiver at that point. I just feel like that there's a drop off from the top 10 into the maybe 10 to 20, where unless someone is shocking drops like Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame, I just feel like there's going to be a drop there. And also, the Vikings don't pick between 77 and 156. I think they're going to want to try to get more picks in the middle of this draft as well. So, yeah, I guess that's not a great answer for you. But if I would say this, if Derek Stingley Jr. is there, I think they will definitely take him.
Okay, if he's there. You just don't maybe expect him to be there. Kyle Hamilton, also another DB, a safety out of Notre Dame. Matthew Coller on it. Vikings draft this week, live from Vegas, number 12 pick as of now, purpleinsider.com for Vikings coverage. Matthew Coller on tonight. Matthew, always great. Thanks for coming on.
Yep, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Matthew Coller breaking down Vikings. He says number 12 pick. If Stingley Jr. is there from LSU, he's a corner. LSU corner, Stingley Jr., and then he threw out Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame safety, super athlete, if he's there, but no quarterback. We had some Vikings fans hit us on the text line here. Vikings should go quarterback. They said they should go quarterback here. Probably going to be some quarterbacks available, but the Vikings, see, this is the thing. Everybody's kind of looking at these quarterbacks saying, well, these guys, they aren't the guys. These guys aren't the guys at quarterback this year. That's what the experts, quote unquote, experts are saying. Sometimes we know the experts are wrong, but the experts are saying these quarterbacks this year aren't the guys, and so do the Vikings just go, yeah, we kind of need a quarterback behind Kirk Cousins eventually here, but they're not going to pull that trigger yet. So Vikings have to decide, do they trade down, get some value, or can they get a great DB at number 12 potentially? Matthew Collar also saying maybe a wide receiver along the way. We'll keep an eye on it. Las Vegas should be fun. We'll break down more of the NFL draft all week long here on the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. I got to get into this. I have a question for you. Think about this. South Dakota State men's basketball had a great run this year, right? South Dakota State men's basketball led the nation in three-point percentage. Unbelievable season, went undefeated through the Summit League, went into the tournament, had a tough matchup with Providence. I didn't love that. A lot of people thought the Jacks would beat them. They were competitive, couldn't quite come back, and okay, we know the story. But they went to the tournament, okay? If you were on the South Dakota State men's basketball team and you were a great player on the South Dakota State team, and now you're like, hey, we're still going to be pretty good next year, I would expect, would you transfer to, like, Nebraska? Nebraska in the Big Ten really, really, really struggles. It may be a scenario that may be real life. Let's discuss it next with news out of Brookings. Matt Zimmer live from the Argus Leader next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There are times in life when you just have to say, this is a no-brainer, and we are doing it. And right now is one of those times. Renewal by Andersen makes the best windows you can get. They have more 5-star customer reviews than anyone in the industry. And right now you can get Renewal by Andersen windows with no money down, no interest, no payments for a full year with approved credit. A full year. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com. Renewal by Andersen. This is one of those times in life. It's a no-brainer. We're doing it.
We'll come in, they'll have a noise under the hood, and we'll go out and take a look at it. We can determine by the type of noise, and usually if we can determine where it's coming from, we can direct them to the piece that has failed. My name is Dick Lemke. Working at Sturtevant's as long as I have, it's definitely become my career. When you need someone to help solve the problem, start with a Sturtevant store near you.
STURTVANTS, come and see Sturtevant's. Has it Sturtevant's?
Looking for a great place for a pregame meal that really satisfies? Or maybe you want a place to take your all-star after the game. Or you're looking for a place to enjoy a delicious meal while watching your favorite team on the big screen TV. Valley Sports Bar and Grill has all the bases covered for all those things and more. Top-notch, friendly, and attentive service. Wall-to-wall big screen TVs with all the big games. And the absolute best wings in Rapid City. Valley Sports Bar. Make it your place. 1865 Valley Drive, Rapid City.
Everyone knows scratch tickets make great gifts during the holidays. But think about it. Scratch tickets are a perfect pick-me-up for a lot of occasions. Need to thank someone? Give them a scratch. Need to say I'm sorry like you really mean it? Give a scratch. Say congrats to that promotion. New house or your friend's new dog that looks more like a possum than a poodle. You know that thing likes a good scratch. The next time you need a gift that says whatever like you mean it, quit scratching your head and just give them a scratch. Scratch tickets from the South Dakota Lottery. Good fun. Must be 18 to play. Please play responsibly.
No one has a handbook for what we're living through today, which is why the experience you have access to makes all the difference in how you make it to tomorrow. For decades, Dakota Bank has worked with ag producers through industry, economic, and regional changes. We're committed to agriculture. We're committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Dakota Bank, banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and trust not FDIC insured.
Farmers and ranchers with up to 24% lower shop rates than most local dealers. Adams ISC in Rapid City is your single go-to source for ag equipment inspection, service, and repair, including air conditioning. With over 20 years experience, Adams ISC Ag Tech Gary Christensen will have your ag equipment repaired and serviced to your satisfaction, either in our shop or at your location with our fully equipped field service truck on Deadwood Avenue in Rapid City or at 605-343-9393. Contact Adams ISC.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in. That's a little Chicago for you on a late Monday night here on the Nate Brown Show. I went to Chicago here at the Monument Friday night. Solid, I will tell you. First half of the show, not outstanding. I will tell you. First half, I didn't catch some of the songs they played. And then the second half, off the charts. Off the charts. Some high energy. You got to respect Chicago. All-timers. Absolute all-timers. Second half of the show, really, really good. Really, really good. Matt Zimmer's in. It's the second half of the show here. We saved the best for last right here. Matt Zimmer is on. Argus leader, Sioux Falls. Let's talk Jackrabbits and a little bit more. Find him on Twitter at Argus Matt Z. Matt, good to have you. How are you?
Thanks for leading me in with one of my all-time least favorite bands in the history of rock and roll.
Oh, come on. Come on. That's a killer. I went to Chicago Friday night, and like I said, you would have really hated the first half then because it was not as good as the second half. No Chicago? What's the problem? I mean, explain yourself.
It's also funny that that's the song you chose because long time ago I used to cover Augustana in Sioux Falls, cover a lot of their games. And at their basketball games, it seemed like 25 or 6-4 by Chicago was the only song that the Augie band knew how to play.
Oh, yes.
And so every weekend I would hear it about 15 times during the course of a couple basketball doubleheaders. So that might have colored my hatred from Chicago. A little overkill from the Augustana band.
That is a pep band staple, I will tell you that, the 25 or 6-4. Let me ask you about that. Speaking of basketball, let's go South Dakota State here. So I asked the audience this question. A hypothetical, because I don't know what's going to happen, but Baylor Shireman, South Dakota State, great player for the Jackrabbit men, goes to the transfer portal, he's testing the NBA waters, we don't know about that, could come back to South Dakota State, but probably not. That's usually what happens. So I said, great player at South Dakota State, do I want to be that guy, or do I want to go to Nebraska? I just throw that out because he's from there. What's the right answer to that?
I don't know. I don't think he's going to end up at Nebraska.
Okay, all right.
I don't think he's going to come back to South Dakota State. I still think his preference is to get drafted this year. He's not doing this. There have been other guys who have kind of looked at it like, hey, I'll enter the draft. What do I have to lose? Because I can always pull out at the last minute and go back to school. And guys have been upfront about that being the reason for doing it. That's not what Baylor's been doing all along. He's made it very clear, I want to get drafted this year. And that's what he's focusing on right now. The agent he chose was a guy who has a track record of helping guys boost their stock before the draft. I still think there's a pretty decent chance that he ends up staying in the draft. Whether or not he gets taken, I don't know. But if the feedback he's getting as the draft gets closer and that June 1st deadline to withdraw gets closer, and he hasn't been given much indication that he's looking at maybe being a late first round or early second round pick, that's why I think he made the announcement he did today. This gives other schools a month basically to reach out to him while he's continuing to work out. He can field offers from other schools for this entire month and then on June 1st make his decision. I'm guessing, that as much success as he had at South Dakota State, as much as Baylor has told me and everyone that he loves it at South Dakota State, I don't think NBA teams are too impressed by the Summit League overall. So Baylor Shireman, he's 6'6", he's a 50, 40, 80 guy, but they're saying we would like, we don't trust it. The Summit League isn't that good of a league. We want to see you do it against better competition. So I think if he ends up coming back to school, he's going to be, like I said, this gives him a month to see what kind of offers are out there. And then I think another piece of this is the NIL part of it, and that name, image, likeness. You're seeing so many kids now are signing endorsement deals for a lot of money. And Baylor Shireman kind of became a household name this March with everything he did in the Summit League tournament and then the attention they were getting going into the NCAA tournament. He made some, highlight type of plays in their one game against Providence. I think he kind of feels like this is an opportunity for him to make some money, too. If he can, that's why I don't think he's going to go to Nebraska. I think he's looking at somewhere where he can maybe go to a big market, a blue blood type of school, and get some money. Now, if it turns out that Nebraska could make that happen, maybe that's where he'd go, too. But I think it comes down to he wants to potentially, if he's not going to get drafted, better competition and a big market where he can make some endorsement money.
It's interesting because I talk about this world a lot in the college sports world, Matt, is for the South Dakota States, you have a great player, and it sure seems tough to hang on to that great player.
Well, and the other thing, too, is they did once when they had Mike Daum. You remember?
Yep.
He entered the draft after his junior year, realized he wasn't going to get picked, so he came back to school. He had the option at that time to grad transfer, and obviously every school in the country would have been interested. He decided, nope, I'm going to be loyal to South Dakota State. These are the guys that brought me here, gave me my Division I opportunity. I'm going to stick by those guys. Now, that was very admirable of Mike Daum to do that, and he'll be a legend in South Dakota at South Dakota State for the rest of his life because of it. But then look at how that played out for him compared to, say, a guy like Matt Mooney, who was in the same class as Daum at USD. He decided not to be loyal to USD, grad transferred to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
He plays in a national championship game. He plays in the NBA. Mike Daum came back for his senior year. They ended up going to the NIT, didn't even make the NCAA tournament, and Mike hasn't played in the NBA. I mean, Mike Daum's a great player and a great, great guy, and everyone loves him, but maybe it didn't work out for him. Maybe he should have entered the portal, So I think if you look at, you talk about how hard it is for these guys, for these schools to get guys to stick around, and you want to see loyalty and everything like that. I just don't know if that's what's in the best interest of the kids. And that's why I think if you're Eric Henderson, you're sad that Baylor Shireman's leaving, but you have to go, geez, I get it. That's where the best opportunities are.
On the same focus, South Dakota State gets a transfer. Give me your take.
Yeah.
It's not a stunner, but Matthew Morse leaves Wisconsin and ends up for the Jackrabbits. What type of fit at South Dakota State, and what type of player can Morse be?
He'll be a great fit because he's a guy who obviously he can score. We saw it in high school, but he's not a selfish guy. He's not just a pure scorer. He's a very well-rounded guy who can shoot, and that's what SDSU's entire roster is made up of. Now, that was the first thing I thought of today when I heard the news about Baylor Shireman. It was like, oh, damn, that's too bad. Sure would have been fun to watch those two guys play together, even if it was just for 1 year. But then you also think, well, that softens the blow a little bit. If Baylor Shireman was leaving right now and Matthew Morse was still at Wisconsin, I think that would, open the door for a much more level playing field in the Summit League next year. But, Morse is stepping in basically just to the role that Doug Wilson fulfilled as kind of your 4-5 guy, and he'll be a little bit different than Doug Wilson. But like I said, I think with the shooters they have and the way they share the ball, their style of play, I think he'll be a perfect fit. And like I said, it's too bad we won't get to see him play with Baylor Shireman, but he'll definitely soften the blow a little bit of losing him.
Matt Zimmer, Argus leader, talking Jackrabbits live from Sioux Falls. One quick hitter on the women's side. South Dakota State women's basketball gets Drew Gilton. They look like they're in really, really good shape. And on the same token, USD losing a bunch of starters. What's your read on that?
I think SDSU is going to be a clear favorite in the Summit League next year on the women's side. You just said, you added Drew Guyton, coming from a major Division I program. Maya Sellen's coming back. Tori Nelson's coming back. Paige Meyer, Haley Timmer. I mean, they're going to be loaded. And then you throw in, like you just said, USD loses their coach and their entire team. I will say, I think USD and SDSU are so much better than everyone else in that league. I still think USD will probably be the second best team in the league next year. I fully expect them to finish in second place. But I think SDSU will be head and shoulders better than everyone else. And if I'm the Jackrabbits, I see this as an opportunity, strike while the iron's hot, so to speak, to get some separation, because obviously USD has really closed the gap and possibly even surpassed them in the last couple of years. This is a chance to pull back away from them a little bit.
Matt, you cover a lot of college sports, so answer my question of the day here. There's something I'm asking with NIL, with transfer portal, with all this stuff, social media. Is there too much pressure on college athletes today? Yes or no? Too much pressure today?
I think there's always too much pressure on athletes who aren't professionals, and maybe even athletes that are professionals. And I think that's why it's a good thing that we have the transfer portal option, that we have NIL, that we're starting to level the playing field a little bit, give something back to these kids. But still, even with that being the case, I always think there's too much pressure, and it's a tough situation because these things have become so, $1 billion industries with the TV side of it and the media coverage and all those sorts of things. And it's, we're guilty of it in the media sometimes. We cover these people and sometimes forget, like, oh yeah, they have class tomorrow morning. They're still high school students, college students. So, not saying that they aren't in a good situation. It's a great privilege to be a Division I athlete, things like that, but that doesn't mean that sometimes the pressure on them probably isn't too much.
Okay, it's interesting. My audience says 60% say no, it's not any different now. 40% says yes, so much to deal with for college athletes today. By the way, Matt Zimmer, a Twins fan, they're in first place. It's a bad division. Your boy Byron Buxton, is this guy like the real deal? The real deal?
Well, he definitely is when he's healthy. I mean, but that's obviously the obvious caveat. I would just say I think right now he's playing so well that you look at the Twins, and it's a very basic, it's a zero-sum thing. Like, are the Twins a good baseball team? Is Byron Buxton in the lineup? Then yes. Is Byron Buxton not in the lineup?
Wow,
then
okay,
no.
okay.
I think it's that simple.
Not
That's how much of
Correa?
an impact he makes.
Is he going to come along?
I think he's going to be fine, but I just think Byron Buxton is the difference. If Correa comes along and ends up hitting 280 with 25 homers like he probably will, that certainly makes the Twins a much better team. But I think whether or not they're a playoff team is going to be almost entirely dependent on Byron Buxton playing, at least 120, 130 games.
Matt Zimmer in tonight. ArgusLeader.com. His work there covers the Jacks and more. Matt, always great. Thanks a lot.
You bet, Nate. See ya.
Appreciate it. Argus Matt Z on Twitter. Follow him there. Argus Matt Z. Matt Zimmer from Sioux Falls. Argus Leader tonight. All right. If you haven't answered that question, it's one I threw out there. You've seen some sad stories here with some college athletes lately. And I just wanted to throw it out there. It's kind of a deep one, but is there too much pressure on college athletes today? So yes, they have so much to deal with today, or no, not any different now. 720-1067 on the Barons-Wilson text line. Send that in. 60% of the audience right now voting, no, it's not any different now with the pressure on college athletes. Not any different now. 60% say, 40% say yes, they have so much to deal with. I asked a former D1 college athlete that question. I sent him a text and said, just answer this one for me. You've lived it. This Division I athlete says NIL and social media bring a stronger component of pressure, but I personally would say there isn't too much pressure. Our coach always said, pressure is a privilege, so embrace it. Pressure is a privilege, so embrace it. That's what that college coach said. It's interesting. We'll probably get into more of that tomorrow. Coming right back with who's hot and who's not on the Nate Brown Show. Wrap it up a Monday. Speaking of the Twins, there's some numbers you need to see with your Minnesota Twins. They're in first place in the AL Central. You can celebrate it for a little bit anyway. Let's look at the numbers with the Twins. Who's hot and who's not on the way.
You're listening to the only live and local sports talk show in the Black Hills. The Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports RapidCity.com and live on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hello, this is Robbie at Bargain Barn Tire Pros. At Bargain Barn Tire Pros, we are what we like to call your one-stop vehicle shop. Some of you don't realize that we're more than just a tire shop. We are a full-service center. We do brakes, shocks, alignments, and we also do exhaust. So if your vehicle is loud or making a squeak, call the pros at Tire Pros. 1610 Campbell Street, 1811 Deadwood Avenue, or look us up on the web at bargainbarntire.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Mainly clear skies and quiet tonight with lows around 31. Winds out of the south, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies again. Tomorrow, highs around 66. Tomorrow night, lows dip down to about 40. Temperatures a bit above average Wednesday and Thursday, with highs from the low 60s to the mid 60s. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 52.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying your first home or maybe upgrading to a home that you will really love? Real estate is an important investment that you want to get right. I have been in the business of finding the right home for 15 years. To get started, contact me, David Brenneman, at 415-0044. Let's open the door to your new home and say hello to a goodbye with me, David Brenneman, at 415-0044.
First Gold Gaming Resort always has more exciting ways for you to win big. Just slide your club card into your favorite machine every time you play to win your share of $8,600 in weekend promo hot seat giveaways. Win $1,000 on the hour every hour from 6 p.m. till midnight every Saturday, which leads up to Deadwood's biggest single night giveaway, the $12,000 Golden Cash Blast on Saturday, April 30th. First Gold Gaming Resort. It's where Deadwood begins and the winning never ends.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show live, Fox Sports Rapid City. I remind you, the Nate Brown Show podcast getting ready to go up tonight when we wrap up the show live. The podcast is posted. If you missed any of the show tonight, download it. The Nate Brown Show podcast available where you download your podcasts. Who's hot and who's not on tonight? Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. As always, I'll tell you this. Tuesday is Senior Day, $8.99 buffet, okay? Wednesday's Kids Day. One child 12 and under eats free for every regular priced adult. Wednesdays, the Pizza Ranch buffet. Local Pizza Ranch, 2 locations in Rapid City. In my Who's Hot category, well, those Minnesota Twins are in first place in the AL Central, and it's not because of all the runs they're scoring. The Minnesota Twins starting rotation wrapping up the weekend, leading the American League in ERA and strikeout to walk ratio. Yes, the starting rotation. This is Dylan Bundy and Joe Ryan, Chris Archer, Chris Paddock, okay? We're talking about the Minnesota Twins starting rotation. As of now, it's a small sample size, leading the American League in ERA and strikeout to walk ratio. The Twins in first place in the AL Central for now. Can they make a run this year? That division is open. It's open. I don't know. The White Sox, we'll see, but I think it's open. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not category, it just has to be this. Speaking of Minnesota, I'll stay there for my Who's Not category, and it has to be this. The Minnesota Timberwolves have had 2 games now interrupted by fans running onto the floor. I don't know. They're trying to protest this, Glenn Taylor owns chicken farms, and he's had to kill chickens, so there's bird flu, and I don't know. Fans running onto the floor in the middle of the game. Security, by the way, the other day just took this protester down. We can't have any more of this. So that fan, whoever these fans are, you run onto the floor, you throw stuff at players like in New York, like in Yankee Stadium, you've got to be gone for the rest of time. Sounds harsh. You've got to be gone. Interrupting games, putting players in danger. It's a mess. And you've got to be gone. I don't know what else to do other than the stadiums, the professional leagues. I think they're going to have to, as I said, we see these people on camera. We know who they are. You should be able to put a plan in place to not have these fans ever attend anything ever again. The Timberwolves protester got the worst of it, I will say that. Security guard, right place, right time. Back tomorrow at 4 on the Nate Brown Show. Thanks for listening. The podcast going up tonight and the Odd Couple on right now.
One guy